Go. What's up, dude? What's that say on your cup?
The Living Desert. I went to a zoo in Palm Springs.
That's this is the best, one of the best zoos. Although I went to the zoo out here in Nashville, and it's awesome. But for a small zoo,
yep, it's a great zoo,
dude. It is a great zoo, and because they build everything around the mountains. That's the thing that's awesome. You know what else is a neat zoo? The Santa Ana Zoo.
It is.
And the guy who owned the property, I guess the thing was that they made it so you have to keep like 60% of the place has to be monkeys, primates, those kind of things as part of that zoo, because I guess he was really into
that would have been my rule. Yeah, you have to. Yeah,
absolutely.
The Living Desert's great though.
The
only zoo I went where the animals said, hey,
you guys are going to deport us, are you? Hey. I want to get your take on this, Paul, because you're a nerd. And as we get rolling tonight, there is nothing more nerdy than this thing right freaking here. It is the Superman movie. And I'm telling you, I want to get your full take.
Superman. The most powerful being on planet Earth.
We finally meet.
Now, as planned, I'll destroy you. And of course, that reporter you always do interviews with. Who raised you as a child? I'll kill them too.
No matter what you do to me, Luther, your plans won't work.
Wrap it up.
Good luck with that.
Make a move, Big Blue.
Buckle up.
They chose him. Let them die.
Hey! Quit messing around!
I'm not messing around. I'm doing important stuff.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
So my visceral reaction is, I think that Marvel lost their way and DC picked it up.
Do you think that James Gunn has fixed the hot mess?
I think he has. That looks like it's going to be fun. That's all you need out of a superhero movie. You need it to be fun. And Superman's a great character. The problem is always he's Superman, so you can never hurt him. And they already start with the premise that he's kind of the underdog in this.
Which is weird.
But otherwise, it's like there's no drama.
I want to see him arrest like bank robbers. That's no fun.
Yeah, exactly. Like okay, you shoot him with a bullet from a revolver, like in the old days. Well, it's Superman. That doesn't really. There's no threat to him.
No.
So the idea that there was some kind of threat, and that they're bringing in the Green Lantern, like the goofy one, which is the best, and they're bringing in a lot of these like Hawk Girl and stuff. It's kind of fun. It's kind of like B-team people with Superman.
Okay.
Like people that only geeks would recognize.
All right.
And normal people only see Superman and Krypton, probably Superman's dog. People remember him.
Yeah, you're a nerd. So I wanted to get it because I watched it. I thought, man, that actually looks good. Because normally when I see a DC thing, I think this is stupid.
It does. It looks just like they're trying. They're like the writers are doing this the whole time.
Oh, this is awful. This is awful. Let's jump into the news today. For those of you guys, welcome. We're going to talk about a lot of wacky stuff tonight. By the way, David Hogg, the DNC, they are redoing the votes starting tomorrow because they've basically moved him out of the chair, the vice chair, him and another guy, because apparently it was an unfair advantage for there needs to be gender equity, except in the president's version, like so the person who runs it, because you can't have two presidents, right?
That makes sense.
So and I just, as I tweeted out a little while ago, dude, just say you're a chick. What are they going to say? No.
Yeah. Do Democrats ever practice what they preach in reality?
No,
They don't seem to. Yeah.
No.
It's rules good for you, not for me, kind of thing.
It's an absolute joke. Did you ever see when they were trying to figure out what the rules were for it? It was okay, so wait, hold on. So if but if it's a guy, but over here's got to be a girl, but if this one is black, this one has to be white. It was, they're like, we don't know.
It becomes one of those like chalkboard with the strings going every single which way. And it becomes the Always Sunny in Philadelphia Charlie meme very quickly, where he's all angst out and
it's just I laugh because this is why you guys don't win. I mean, for all the crazy shit that times the Republicans do, how they can fail everybody over and over again, you continue to lose because you pick the dumbest shit to argue about.
But things keep coming out. Like apparently it came out that if they didn't count illegals, they would have 20 or something seats less in the House.
I saw that. I want to do the research, but that's the supposedly they would have 27 less seats.
27 less seats.
I want to see what
we can research to make sure.
But it's
still Vance said that.
I mean, it's still a.
But let's say it was only 2 less seats, 3 less seats. We are under the illusion because they have a bully pulpit in the media that people actually think they're relevant. They are clearly not a relevant party. They're not culturally relevant. They're not relevant in the political. They cheat to get into their positions of power.
They cheat each other.
I was
going back. Look what they did to Bernie Sanders in 2016.
This is 100%. The mind-blowing thing is they cheat each other. It's clear. But if you say they cheat the Republican, no, not possible. There's no way they cheated the Republicans.
We only cheat each other.
They only cheat each other. And you're like, oh, that's interesting. You only cheat each other. And there's no way you would cheat.
I would only cheat on my wife. I would never cheat on my mistress.
Exactly. And I'm like, I have a hard time believing that. I was like, no, it's always perfectly on board.
It's just such a bizarre, the fact that they continue to run at the dumbest ideas over and over again. And look, say what you want about David Hogg. He's whatever. He took a horrible situation and what took at Parkland and he's turned it into a career. The reality is he makes them uncomfortable because he calls them on a lot of their weird bullshit. And, which makes me laugh. And now their first thing is to get him out of there. Well, we got to get him out of here because it's just hilarious. Now you're near Los Angeles. I just want to make sure. Is your house on fire?
It currently is. There's currently 3 illegal immigrants setting up a taco stand in my living room, and I can't get them out because Governor Newsom said that would be unlawful. They need due process before I can get them out of my living room.
You and I, we grew up in LA.
Yes, at least I get free tacos. And
I wouldn't say it's the worst.
That's a plus.
That is an absolute plus. I was trying to tell my friends out here in Nashville, look, guys, you want to get rid of everybody. I get it. That's your, for whatever reason, that's the go-to for everything. Have you thought about Mexican food without Mexicans?
Honestly, that is the only drawback.
Ketchup
and so we need special visas
on a tortilla.
100%. Or, when I was traveling to Alabama and they didn't know what carne asada was at the taco place. I'm like, okay, I'm not sure what you serve. They serve beef. But they don't have carne asada. I'm like, that's interesting. Okay.
Again, you're in Los Angeles. We joked about I was trying to explain to people like LA County, the amount of people in LA County is about 14 million people. That's more than 40 states. The area in which this is happening is a block or two. This isn't 92. This isn't all over no, this isn't. They make it seem like it is.
This is like, my little Tokyo area, which is very, very, very downtown. And it's right by Skid Row. It's like this weird area of the city that
because not a lot of people live in
that stuff. It's a weird little piece. Nobody's there.
No, not a lot of people actually live in like the downtown area.
No,
it's people work there. People go and they'll, Skid Row's been there, Miracle Mile, all that stuff. But not a lot of people actually live in the downtown area. They live in the county is big.
Yep.
Poor population.
And, at the end of the day, all these people, I've set up their little businesses, whether it be the people in Little Tokyo, the people that are just setting the mom and pop shops. And the idea that these criminals can wave foreign flags, these insurrectionists can wave foreign flags and shut down these people's businesses and vandalize and loot. And the mayor and the governor of California are just worthless.
Oh, shit.
And so, of course, you have to have something step in. I never got that. I'm like, well, somebody's got to take care of this, because what about the citizens? Nobody cares. They care about the illegals as if we need to kiss every single one of their asses.
People that are causing a vast majority of this, they're not the people that are actually illegal. Those are the people that live here that have come in to throw a fit. They're stepping over the people they want to help so they can get their likes, their clicks. They can raise money. They can scream and yell and be part of the resistance. And all the while, the people that they're really, we're here to help, you're not doing any of that shit. It's the same thing. I watched Gavin Newsom give his little speech last night. The entire time it was, I'm running for president. Trump is bad. He was really mean to Harvard. That's not very nice. Trump's a dick. He thinks he's a king. Don't break stuff. That's not good. More about me. And I'm thinking,
you know what? That's a failure.
Yeah,
this is it. Trump's not running again. You cannot keep running against Trump. That's your whole message. Your whole message is Trump's a meanie. Well, nobody cares. Nobody cares if Trump's a meanie, because the majority of the country doesn't believe it. So if your entire message is only Trump is bad, you're going to lose again.
That's your platform.
That's your platform.
Trump
is bad.
Yeah.
All right.
The Democrats have lost. Obama ran, and it is funny. I always laugh because you and I talk. I didn't think Obama was a bad president. Like a lot of people, because of, for whatever reason, kind of like with Clinton, that they freak out about certain stuff. But you can't run on his coattails anymore and always ask him to save you. And you can't run against this guy's a bad dude.
Nope. Well, at the end of the day, Obama deported many more people, 5 million something. He deported them without due process.
Jealous of his numbers.
100%. And Bush deported about 10 million or something like that. Clinton deported around 10 million. There was no due process involved. A lot of them were called returns, which I love that term.
Well, if you're caught within, if I'm correct, if you're caught within, it's X amount of miles. It's not very far from the border, and you're in the country for less than 2 years, you can automatically be returned. Now, if you've been here for more than 2 years, you get a hearing. There is a due process hearing, but it's not some big thing where it's like you file paperwork, you go in front of a judge, they tell you, okay, we'll see you in 6 months. There's going to be a jury trial. It's a quick little thing in and out to decide if you can move on to the next phase or you got to go.
The logic still, I have a problem with it. So if you break into my house, unwanted and unauthorized, I need a due process to get you out. I can't just kick you out. I have to go. Here, you need to stay here in my house. Here's my spare bedroom. Here's some fresh towels and sheets. Yeah. Now I have to go through the due process. Like, the idea the due process has to apply to every single person that broke into this country is ludicrous. Well, absolutely ludicrous.
And I blame both sides of Congress, because you played the game for a long time, and where you would have trouble if somebody broke in your house and they lived there for 6 months and you were there and you didn't really complain about it, and then you told somebody, they already get their mail there, hey, this guy's broke into my house, that's a tough thing to sell. Now you got to go through the whole process. And that's what the Democrats and the Republicans did. They took money from donors, they played a big game, they used it to raise more money on the issue, and now it's like, okay, you got a guy that goes, well, we're not going to do that anymore. And the Democrats really screwed up because you allowed 12, 13 million people in the last 4 years. And even the average Democrat's like, well, this is a bridge too far for even me.
But here's the problem. We have been whining. Democrats have been whining. Obama's speech is clearly about getting rid of illegals that shouldn't belong in here. Hillary Clinton had a speech about getting rid of illegals that don't belong here. How on earth is now Trump is actually doing it for the first time, but Trump's doing it all the wrong ways? I am so tired with hearing how finally something's happening to the American people, and we've been saying we need it forever, but he's doing it badly.
And people who are watching this are going to see this, and you can, make sure you like and subscribe. But the other thing is, I asked my buddy who's a liberal today, I said, what's the right way?
Yeah.
Because even the ones that are being deported that have orders to be removed, which means you wanted the process, you got the process, and in many cases they overstayed because we told them, all right, you've got to leave, you've got 30 days, and here they are 2 years later, and they haven't left, and that process wasn't enough for you.
Yep.
So what is
their process is anything Trump does is bad, or anything that happens to a brown person is somehow offensive, which doesn't make sense.
No,
that's racism. I don't care who did it. If you broke a law, red, white, purple, or blue, you broke a law. You need to get. If it was Polish people, which are very white people,
they are.
Were sneaking over the border and setting up camp, and they said we got to get rid of all these illegal Polish people. We have to get rid of them. We'll send them back to Poland.
Well, there's a guy who's Danish, but he's been here for 10 years. He's married. He's got 4 kids. He's gone through the whole thing. He got arrested at his final meeting before he becomes a citizen because there was a piece of paper that they didn't sign correctly in 2017. Now he's in custody in the same place in Louisiana. They're probably going to end up sending him home because they did everything right, but they didn't fill. And by the way, they had like 30 meetings in between, and nobody told them they filled that wrong. And that happened. That meeting that took place happened the day after his wife had a miscarriage. I think it was on their first kid. And not one Democrat's gone and go, we really need to see what this guy's on, because the skin color's not right.
100%. That is a better story than that guy that got sent to El Salvador in prison, who was a wife beater and potentially a child trafficker and all this stuff. What you're saying is a much better sob story. You know, you know what I mean? It's much better, but he's the wrong color because Democrats are racist.
Oh yeah. And
instead of saying, hey, this is a good example of how these laws are getting out of hand. Oh no, we can't use that because he's white.
No. Yeah, well, it doesn't tell the story of because he's come from a country that's not a shithole country, Paul.
Yeah. Oh
that's
no. Yes, exactly.
That's the other part of it. He didn't, and I've seen several stories. There was a story at a kid I think he was in Tucson. It might have been in New Mexico, one of the two. He is autistic, but he's high functioning. But he's, he went to visit his girlfriend, and they asked him questions. He didn't really understand. He was in custody for this. He was a U.S. citizen, born and raised in like Tucson, but he was inside of the system, and they didn't believe him. And then they finally found out he was. But that was like 2 weeks later. There's a story you guys could have went, look, you guys are fucking shit up. But instead, it's like, hey, this Kilmar Abrego Garcia guy, this guy right here, huh? Maryland father.
Yeah.
And he's here. He's here in Nashville. He has his first hearing Friday.
Yeah. Because
they brought him home only to find out he's got, federal charges. I don't know what the charges are going to look like. So he was pulled over, I think in 2022 here in Nashville. He was driving like a Suburban. There was, I think, 8 people in the car. Nobody had luggage. He was supposedly going from Houston to St. Louis, then to Maryland so he was going this direction, and then this direction through Nashville. And that's when the Nashville Highway Patrol said, this is trafficking, and the trafficking he's charged with, or at least it's not kidnapping. It's basically smuggling. You're moving people from point A to point B. They're here on their own, but you're moving. But still, I'm surprised they brought him back. I have to be honest with you. I'm surprised they just didn't say screw it.
I think they should have. He said, we need to understand it's a very small, very loud minority of people that are whining to start with. They have proven over and over again they don't have enough sense to understand what the real situations are. They find symbols to support, not actual causes, symbols. And why do we need to listen to them? We should just walk past. They're whining that we're deporting people. Cool, and just deport them. They will just let them whine. Let them do the little riots in the street, turn the hoses on them, and then be done with it. I think that's the America of most of us want to live in. The one that doesn't listen to every small group of people that whines and throws stones and burns cars as if that's a valid argument. Get rid of those people.
You're in the country. And the funny thing is, the people that are causing a lot of this insanity, they're citizens. They're probably second or third generation. They've gone to college. They're working for one of these groups where this is their job. Their job is a professional agitator. That's their gig. Their gig is today. It is, they're working with, one of these groups, La Raza, or one of these other groups. And tomorrow
Walmart.
they're going to be out there for Palestine. 3 days from now, it's some sort of, pride march. It doesn't matter.
No.
It's just, oh, is it climate change? What do I glue myself to? How do I cause hell? Because they're toddlers and they're not interested in actual conversation. This is their job.
They're not interested in any form of solution. They're totalitarians in the strict sense of the word because it's their way only, and they're willing to cause violence if there's no such thing as a compromise. It's only their way. The only thing to do is they're not deporting people; they're late-term abortioning people.
Oh, is that it?
That's when late-term abortable. Then all of a sudden they'd be for it. They'd be, if anybody tried to stop an ICE agent from aborting these people, they'd be fighting them in the streets again, and the opposite way.
Yeah, well, they're for you know what? They're mercenaries. That's what I said. They're mercenaries. If you give them enough money to switch sides and to be out here protesting for America, they do it in a heartbeat. They don't care the cause. They're more interested in chaos and anarchy than they're interested in cause.
They're mercenaries if they were powered by soy milk and lattes.
Yeah, that's soy milk. Oh, that's disgusting. That is absolutely the grossest thing in the world. All right, dude. So today on my show, I'm going to say this. I had to make a confession, everybody. I hate fucking parades. I think parades are stupid. And I've always thought parades were stupid. When I was a kid, I thought parades were stupid. And grandma used to always try to drag us to freaking the parade, the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Parade. I never wanted to do any of that stuff. I think they're stupid. And I'll be honest, I think this weekend, I'm not a fan of the parade that Trump is throwing because I feel as much as like we're celebrating. Hey, it's the Army's birthday. It also happens to be my birthday.
Which is it coincides with both. But the Disney Electrical Street Parade, everybody loves.
That's fine. I'm inside. And you know what's great about that? You know why I love that parade? Because everybody goes to watch it and I can ride rides.
Well, think of this. Everybody's going to be watching the military parade and we can all go have a fun lunch.
It is. Nobody's going to watch the military parade outside of the people that are there. And I want to see what kind of chaos, because it's No King Day. Is that what they're calling it?
Yeah, I think that's what the Walmart lady started pushing. Because, Walmart's what you think of when you think of left-wing politics, apparently. I don't understand.
No, not a King.
No Kings.
Day. No Kings. No Kings. Well, I don't want Kings, but still, No King's Day is what and so that's supposed to be nationwide, which will be interesting. And
but didn't we have that day in 1776?
We did.
Yeah.
And we even offered the guy who kind of like was the dude who kicked everybody's ass and led the charge. We said, hey, you want to be king? And he's like, no. We just fucking fought against that. We don't want to.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, that seems like a job that's going to be around for a while, and I'm not sure I want to do that.
And the problem is too is the courts are ruling in Trump's favor in a lot of this. So I'm not sure how it's a king.
I just
other than delusion.
I just saw Dan Abrams, who is not. I mean, he is of all the people that are on television, and mostly what he does is, and what he was famous for was law stuff. But he said, "Look, Trump's going to win a vast majority of these things." It is, when it comes to stuff like this, because the federal government, like one of their main things is the border. Like that is one of their, if not the main thing where you could go, it's pretty cut and dry, right? Like that's pretty cut and dry. So I don't have a problem with it. Now, do I really want to see, I don't want to see tanks rolling down the street, but luckily they're all in DC getting ready to roll down the street.
Of course you want to see tanks rolling down the street. We live not too far from a military base, and there was a bunch of big, I think they would carry missiles trucks. They're so cool.
Yeah, but they're on their way to DC, so we can pretend like we're apparently North Korea.
if tanks were running down the street, I'd be loving it. Tanks are cool. I don't get to
not
see
if they were there to keep the peace.
I'm not causing problems.
Yeah, that's what everybody says, Paul. Until you do.
You are a rabble rouser, so don't give me any shit. It reminds me of, there was an old Mad Men episode where Donald Draper, who was the suit and tie wearing guy, he was with these hippies, and there were the cops outside this apartment, and the hippies are like, you can't go out there, they'll arrest you. And he's like, you can't, I can. And he walks out and just walks by the cops and nothing happens. That's what I feel like with this. Bring in the people. I don't do anything wrong.
That's what they all say, Paul.
You guys can't go outdoors. I can.
That's what they all say, though. But you know what? And this is what I tell everybody on the right who's like, bring it all in, crack their heads, do everything. One day you may not be in charge. And one day, all of a sudden, the thing will go, and then you're like, ah, shit. So that's why we have the states' rights that we do.
It would only work if there was a violent protest that the right did. And unfortunately, the right never violently protests. And then they would have an excuse to bring in a way to quell the riots and the insurrection.
So, yeah, but see,
there is. I don't know of a case where that happened, though. When's the last city you saw burning because a bunch of middle-aged guys in pickup trucks were burning down Starbucks to steal from the Walmart?
More 50s and 60s. That's why the last time that a president sent in the National Guard without a governor was Selma.
Which was a long time ago.
Yeah, which was a long time ago. So it's been a long time since that, so I never had any problem with the National Guard because you protect the federal stuff, and that included ICE. And I'm not sure I want Marines rolling around out there. But alas, I think a lot of that's more for show, and because he realizes it's going to troll everybody and go from there. And I don't want the CIA operating on our soil, and I don't want our Marines operating on go operate on other people's soil.
I don't want it, but the alternative is to let these crazy people just run rampant.
No,
because Newsom's worthless.
Tell your police force. Mayor Adams yesterday, and he said this. He said, you can protest. You can walk up and down the street. You could chant. You could do all those kind of things.
Yes.
The minute you do something stupid, we're going to crack your head. We're going to take you down. And that's that. That's what you do.
Yep.
Like, that's what you do. You do that. It's not the National Guard or the Marines' job to police. It's their job to be there in a time of need. It's their job to go other places around the world and protect us. It's police's job to police, and they didn't do that. Now, whether it probably comes from way up above, or like, don't do anything, contain it. Okay, still that is their job.
As the average Agilino, you saw how horrible they did they treated the fires, how horrible they managed fighting those fires. And you think that they could have managed this and kept it under wraps. It really pretty much is under wraps now.
Yeah.
It didn't really expand. It's very small.
They were going to burn itself somewhat out because I think they overestimated how angry everybody was going to be and take to the streets. And that really wasn't happening. It wasn't going to happen in those kind of numbers. It wasn't. I was telling people, in 2000, in 1992, because went from my mom. I had to work out there. It was contained. It was also people that were in the neighborhoods that were pissed and angry. And let's be real. 1992, Rampart Division, LAPD, a lot of people had a lot of reasons to be fucking pissed then. There was a lot of that stuff. And then with the cops getting off, all of that stuff after King, it was a tinderbox long before that. But it was contained. And that's all the police and the fire department said so. The fire department said, look, our goal is we let it burn. We don't let it spread. And the police said, we let them get their anger out. We let them go. We don't let it get past. Because, once they started moving towards Beverly Hills, the police lines got bigger and stuff.
Yeah.
And, oh my God, they're coming this way.
Yeah. Why? Why should we allow anybody to burn down anything? That's the question that nobody seems to.
That you were never going to stop that 92. It was you.
No,
didn't.
But now, why should we allow them to do it at all?
Why should we allow them to do? Poor Waymo. What did fucking Waymo do to anybody?
They're burning Waymos. They're doing all kinds of like people are like, well, Trump should have. Like, why? Why should we allow them to just make our civilization uncivilized because of their feelings? I have to appreciate their feelings so much.
Well, they're toddlers. They're giant toddlers.
They're giant toddlers. So spank them. Bring in the National Guard. Bring in Marines. Bring in Air Force. Navy.
Or just look at the cops and go, dude, they're throwing shit at you. This is not what you do. You go up there and you arrest their ass and you drag them off and you charge them. You know what they started doing in England, which is, so for all those you don't know, the Brits finally got sick and tired of people gluing themselves to shit, and throwing stuff. So they said, all right, let's see if we can do this. Somebody goes and they glue themselves to something. They throw oil on one of the paints, but their paint's all protected now. The paintings are all protected. And they're like, okay, so you're going to do 6 years in jail now. Oh, wait a minute here. This isn't a fine and, oh, don't do that again and you have to pick up trash on the side. No, you start prosecuting them. I see they take 378 people into custody. Okay, how many are charged? For real.
Yeah.
Take them into custody, you released them. How many of them are going to actually have to go to court, pay a fine, and or do community serve or potential to go to jail because you had a Molotov cocktail? I mean, how many of these things are going to have to happen?
But this is California.
That message, that's a different message.
California is so unreasonable. The Democrats in California just passed something that says that if you commit a felony, you have the option of basically getting out of serving time if you go to diversity classes.
Diversity classes? No.
Look this up. It's the most bizarre thing ever. So I can rob or do, some felony level thing, but I'm willing to go take classes on diversity and it will mitigate my sentence.
Are you kidding me?
So should Trump take over the law enforcement of all of this state? Pretty much yes.
No, because we don't
insane.
want them, we want them no. So you can do like a diversion program that includes some of these things. It depends on what it can't be like a violent. You can't freaking, you can't go kill somebody. They're not going to.
No, you can't kill someone. Yeah, but I'm sorry. Felony there's a bunch of things that would fall under felony that it applies to. A bunch of things.
That is so funny. That is just welcome to California.
Welcome to California. So we're not run by adults. We're not run by competent people. Yes, having the government step in is 100% needed. 100% needed.
And I'm a big states guy. I let the states handle the states.
But the state's insane. This state's insane. So if there's nobody in charge, if the entire is wackadoodles, you need a grown up to take over for a little bit of time.
The thing is you're not going to go in and replace the governor. You're not going to go in and replace the mayor. You can't do that. That's something you can't do.
Unfortunately,
it's bizarre. It's like it's such a weird, because like even Karen Bass is out there. She's like, everything's good, everything's great, everything's fantastic, all the things are great, everything's great. By the way, we're gonna have a curfew tonight because all you guys apparently when the sun goes down, you like to burn shit.
Yeah.
So, and of course, the minute the curfew came and they were really gonna crack down, everybody went home.
Yeah. Nobody cares enough. Nobody honestly cares enough.
No.
It's a publicity stunt. I honestly believe it's paid publicity stunt.
Well, a lot of it is, and they're professionals. Like I say, they're going to be out tomorrow if there's a chance. Oh my God, we got a chance to get over and then
during this parade and Trump's birthday, they're planning on these big marches. I like to see how big they are. I think that to me, I'm 100%. If you just want to peacefully protest, knock yourself out.
Yeah.
The second you do something bad, and you start lighting things on fire and stealing from little 7-Elevens and people trying to make a living.
And shit, yeah. Like, what does that have to do? I'm so pissed off that they may deport my neighbor Juan. I'm gonna go get me a bag.
Yeah, exactly. Look at my new Gucci. Like,
look at this. Hey, I stole this for you.
Exactly. Because if you had to be deported, you'd be deported in style.
Yeah, you can't
nice
have
bag.
It. You can't have it. I'm gonna keep it, but I'll always remember you by this sweet bag.
I'll remember you.
Craigslist.
Yep. It's a mindset of insanity.
It's just so ridiculous. I want to see how far I do, because I have a feeling there's going to be some big marches. New York, DC. I think the DC march is going to be fairly sizable. I wonder how many people are showing up at the celebration, which I find it. You know what the other thing that pisses me off about the whole first of all, because I hate parades. And let's be honest, I said that today. Dude, I said that today. I said this today about how much I hate parades, because I do. I hate them. I think they're stupid. This guy tweets at me because I say, how many times can you, like, how many fucking marching bands from high schools do I have to see? Right. Like, that was the thing. I was just
everyone into your high school's marching band comes in.
Stupid. So this was the thing that made me laugh. I go there. This guy he tweets at me and basically says I'm a piece of shit because I don't like marching bands. And I'm like, wait,
you're a marching band phobic.
Yeah. Okay. So this is what he says. Marching band kids work hard. Everyone deserves to march. You wouldn't survive planking on an asphalt in the summer, which is something that is done to them. Piss off. And with 3 exclamation points. And I started laughing. I'm like, are you being real, Frank?
Planking on the asphalt.
I don't even know what is planking on. And
I used to remember planking's when you would get really stiff. and
yeah, but I
plank.
don't think that's what they're doing for the
Well, it'd
marching.
be hard to march and play instruments and plank at the same time.
In marching. This is so funny. The fact that we're looking this up. Band. Planking and marching band. What is this? Oh, it is that. Okay. So who cares? Yeah, I've done 1,000 of those planks. I thought it was something else.
Well, also, they could say to me, "You're right. I don't want to be in the hot sun playing."
No, you're
That's
absolutely
not
right.
my choice. I will never be there. You're
I've
right.
already done that. You know what? I used to run anywhere between 12 and 20 miles a day playing soccer, running all over the place. I don't want to do that anymore because I'm 54 years old and I've done my time, and so go ahead and plank.
I've done at least 20 steps today.
How many steps have
I've
you
done
done?
my.
Is your thing still annoying you? Are you dead? Are you dead? I'm at 8,000 steps. It wasn't a great day for me in steps.
8,000.
Yeah,
Dude,
8,000.
who are you running from? Why are you walking 8,000 times?
You know what? Because then I walk to work.
Oh, okay, that helps. Yeah,
It's what Jesus wants. I walk to
that's
work
true.
every day.
Jesus walked up. If Jesus had one of
You
these
walk to-
phones,
Oh,
how many steps did he get in?
a lot.
A lot,
He'd have a lot of
yeah.
steps. He would have
In those stupid sandals.
Oh, that hurts.
Like you'd think he'd be like, dude, I'm going to slip on some Nikes. Don't tell anybody. But I know in the future, these are much better than sandals.
These are way cooler. You guys, what are those? Yeah, you don't know. You never saw these before.
You never saw these.
These are these Hokos or whatever those things are.
Exactly.
Have you seen those ones? The Hoka?
Hokas? Yeah, they're supposed to. Everybody that walks says that's really good. I don't know.
There's a predatory drone over Los Angeles, Paul.
Well, that sounds fun.
Again.
You
know what? You and I talked about this last time. That whole that Palantir shit's crazy, dude. That's uncomfortable. I told you I don't like that.
Well, it's a little scary because the power that has, as I researched it, it has the power to be a Chinese social credit system, and
that's the fear of it.
That's the fear of it.
And these guys are all about this.
Now, well, the problem is the guy. I think Trump has taken bad advice. Honest, because Trump is not a tech man, not even close. I don't think he does even email. I think he gets his emails printed out then read to him.
Read to him. He's getting them read to him.
It's definitely not. He's not a tech person.
No.
So the implications of what this can do, I think that Trump has no idea, and I think we're walking into what potentially could be really bad.
It's going to be horrible, and they stand with the big beautiful bill. This is what I've been telling everybody. First of all, it takes all of the rights away from the states to regulate any AI whatsoever, which is terrifying. No,
I agree with that.
You don't want that because you know where we're going with AI, dude. Let's be real. Hey, are we? And I'm going to ask you a question a bit about general intelligence yet because they did the Turing test a little while ago, but the fact that this thing can do all of this stuff, and remember, these guys are neocons. Like their goal is to like dominate, and their goal is wars and all kinds of stuff. I don't like any of the stuff they're running at.
Well, the president or the CEO of the company was very clear, saying that he thought that he was responsible keeping the right wing in check in Europe, and that's terrifying because they're left wing nut jobs to start with, which means they're not for free speech, not for any of that. They're not for people being able just to live. And the idea that they would use technology to clamp down on right wing, which means they would clamp down on me. I don't stand for half the things they stand for. So I'm like, oh.
And he's super, like, he's a neocon, though, when it comes to they want to use this stuff to weaponize it, to do stuff. It is scary. And if you guys are listening, Palantir, I would love to work for you guys.
Exactly.
But it is,
a lot about it, yeah.
There is it is frightening that this is going on and that everybody seems to be ushering it in because for as much as Trump says we're going to get the swamp out of here, you replaced it with a lot of tech bro swamp guys who are eating this stuff up.
It's a different kind of, and like I said, I think that Trump isn't savvy enough when it comes to technology to understand the implications of once you're no longer in power. Because I don't think they would do some of these crazy things as long as Trump was there.
I think they absolutely would. Because I don't think he knows what's going on.
If he didn't know what was going on, maybe. Yeah. But if he knew it, I don't think he was like, no, you can't do that. But the second he's out.
Yeah. And you put it in power. That's the thing.
Put it in power.
You ushered it in.
all this bad stuff can start happening. And it's basically, I mean, it's mark of the beast at the end of the day if people don't understand the level of controllability.
Alex Karp, so Alex Karp's a strange looking dude. S. Jack Jones said that. He's
He
an
really
odd-looking guy. He looks like was it Taika Waititi?
Mm-hmm.
He looks just like Taika Waititi.
Why can't any of these people just be normal?
I don't know. Like, hey,
You ever
look,
notice that?
we want to make sure that you guys have your security protected. Obviously, we're going to be able to see a whole bunch of shit that you probably don't want us to see. But the reality is, to do the things we do, this is it. But our goal is to protect you and allow you to live your life freely. Blah blah. It's not. This guy's totally open, going, we're going to fucking get in there. We're going to do anything we want. You guys can't stop us. And I'm not a fan of this. I think this is an ugly situation.
The founding fathers said, if you're willing to exchange freedom for safety, you deserve neither.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the thing. People have become such cowards when it comes to things. They're like, oh, yeah, well, it'll make me more safe. Technically, it could, because it can see everything and know everything. And it has that, what was that Tom Cruise movie where they had precogs? They knew crime before it happened.
Oh, God. What was that? I know that movie was
Minority Report.
Where he goes up and he you get there like 2 minutes before the crime happens.
It has the ability to do a Minority Report style.
Yeah, because it can AI into a certain way where it can look at patterns and say, we believe that maybe you could do this, but it also can do stuff like, hey, you've criticized, what if in 3 months or 6 months from now, they go, you're criticizing Trump so much. We think that we need to, throttle down this or do this. That stuff is terrifying. And we're the big, beautiful bill is all over this shit.
Here's the only thing that could be cool. This thing will have access like we didn't believe. If these, for example, are paid protesters, it'll know it. It'll know who paid them. It will find the bad guys. We never look at the other side. It will literally find the bad people that are disrupting.
Like you said, you're looking at a cool bit, one bit, but to give up as much security and have a chance potentially for somebody to social credit score me, I will allow people to run a little bit hog wild and take that over all of us basically becoming, what's that movie? V for Vendetta.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or China. Right now, like if your social security credit score goes to a certain degree, you can't travel because they won't give you a plane ticket. You can only do, there's certain things you can't do just in basic society because you didn't do enough, whatever the Chinese government wants you to be a good citizen. My fear is, like anything, if it's used in this left-wing concept, it's a totalitarian regime. If it's used in a way to say we want to ensure that everybody is free to continually do what they want,
but that's not the way.
Anybody stopping that we're gonna nullify. That's a different story to me. And
that's not the way it's used, and that's not going to be. And the thought of if it's done this way, it'll be great. You can say that about every single thing on the planet. And it ends up usually being, fucktacularly wrong.
Or it's double-edged. We have nuclear power and nukes. One can destroy the city, one can power it.
Yes.
It's who's it in the hands of? I'm a big nuclear power proponent. I think nuclear power is fantastic.
I think it's clean. It's the only energy, the only crap that we know how to get rid of the stuff.
100%, and it's clean energy, and it's it's contained
8 Mile Island, 8 Mile. Oh, for God, you weren't even alive for 8 Mile Island.
And then, even though we have the ability to destroy the world multiple times over with our nuclear arsenals, we never have, and I don't believe we ever will.
No, I don't think we will either. It's a deterrent, but having something that's a deterrent for you to speak your mind is terrifying, and that's what this thing could become.
It could become that. It could become that. And then
I think they'll start cracking down. I mean, even today I saw Rogan talked about the fact that 2 ex-presidents called YouTube, and was it Twitter or Instagram, to tell them to make sure that he wasn't talking about ivermectin.
Yeah, remember that? Yeah, well, we know that the government used to step in.
Yeah.
The Twitter files showed us this.
But now they don't even have to do that. They can do it all behind closed scenes, and one group will have more power. That if you want to talk about what deep state wackiness looks like, Trump is allowing this to take place, and he better get some better advice. And I don't think he's going to, because you know who's in on this? Peter Thiel. And I remind everybody, who also was an early investor, the CIA.
Yeah. Well, think of it. The ability to find evildoers is the holy grail for all of the CIA, all the law enforcement.
Yeah.
We now have the ability now to track crazy amounts of data because everybody has a tracking device on their hip, their phone. We know everything about you. It's like somebody was tracking GPS and found that 300 people from these riots in LA come from homes with a net worth of 10 million or more.
Of course.
And you're like, and you're rioting? It's like,
Well,
of course
look
you
at
are.
the
Because
vast majority of the people that have overthrown governments in a communist revolution, most of them came from, like, you go look, Che Guevara was rich. Most of these people come from super well-to-do, because only people that would be overly educated in insanity would do a lot of this stuff.
But when you hear that, you go, why do we honestly think if people can do it now, that the government hasn't been tracking us like this? This is now out in the open. But the idea that the government already doesn't know all this about us,
well, it's not.
It doesn't make sense.
The difference is I think we all accept there's a certain bit that comes with it. This is going to take all of that away. And it's also going to now put somebody who is such a big brother over us that the thought of doing something, saying something, having our credit score dinged, telling you can't rent an apartment or so, that's the fear of what potentially is coming.
Well, if it's given somehow, if the Democrats take hold, we're going to have just a dystopia like you wouldn't believe.
Well, you know what though? This is on the Republicans' watch, so I'm blaming them.
They allowed it to happen.
And not only they allow that to happen, they're in bed with these guys and they're fine with it. And because these guys are neocons. These guys are this guy wants to be in as many conflicts as possible because that's how he makes his money.
Well, at the end of the day, money always rules, no matter what we want to think.
Yeah.
And wars really are, since World War II, so profitable, and people realize that. I honestly believe on pretty much every war since then has been a profit center, even Ukraine. And I don't believe that there's all these
Well, there's always an opportunity for a profit center. And
I think the giant
what else the opportunity is? Rebuilding.
Yeah, exactly.
Half of these companies that blow shit up also rebuild.
Do you know how much money's gonna be made when Palestine starts to get being rebuilt?
Or same thing that goes with the likes of Ukraine, because they've already cut a deal. Like the Halliburton stuff, they're going to roll on in. They're going to subcontract billions of dollars of stuff out to a bunch of Ukrainian companies, and they're going to make hundreds of millions and billions of dollars building shit that they supplied weapons for to defend and or blow up.
When Russia hits a power plant in Ukraine or anything like that, our guys are toasting.
Yeah.
They see that that's a ridiculous amount of money they're just about to earn. Because rebuilding those stuff is expensive.
It is expensive.
Rebuilding an apartment block, not that expensive. Rebuilding power plants and infrastructure.
Oh, good times. And with no OSHA. Woo! This is
exactly. Yeah.
No OSHA. I don't know what else. I want to talk to you quickly about the whole AI, because you and I love to get into AI. Yep. Saw a lady today. She was on Breaking Points, and they were talking about there's a lot of fake videos out there for, LA, it's like you and I look, there's a cadence, there's certain things we know what to look for. We understand what's real.
It's getting harder though. It's getting much harder.
It is getting harder, and it looks amazing, but the part of the problem is it also looks so amazing, which is, that's also part of the problem, but a lot of people fall for it. The scary thing is she was talking about that nobody's taking this seriously. It's on nobody's radar in any polls. DC's not taking the potential for what's coming as seriously. Sam Altman has been pretty, open and saying, look, this is going to replace pretty much every job in the world. And he's not even saying that there's going to be good stuff behind it. He's going to say we're all going to have to adapt to being poets or something. But that being said, they were debating the average general intelligence, the AGI or not, has it happened? And the way that they did the Turing test, which is, a human is asking questions to AI and to a human on a computer. They don't know which is which, and that they can't tell the difference of the two. And they said it's past that now, but maybe that wasn't the way where it should have been, because it recognizes patterns, but it doesn't recognize humanity.
They did test. Its emotional IQ is higher than the average person's, but not higher than more learned or astute people. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it's emotional IQ. It understands, emotions and what humans are going through. But I don't know how doesn't have the ability to apply that.
Yes.
At the end of the day, like I said, I had this discussion today because Disney and a bunch of these companies just sued Midjourney, saying that they're violating copyright with the image generation they do, which is true. There's a whole little web series about two stormtroopers that are always doing stupid things, and Darth Vader
I've
gets mad
seen
at them.
those ones. It looks like they're drunk college people all the time. Like they're
It looks exactly like Star Wars, though.
Yeah.
Exactly. It doesn't look like you're like, this is from a Star Wars movie. And so I understand them getting, mad at it and trying to exert copyright, but it's inevitable. The only way in about a year, the only way we're going to know it's not real is if AI tells us it's not real. And that goes, there's this very interesting Netflix show, speaking of this, where it was a bunch of like the suit, like think of like Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and like all these guys were in a cabin together just for a vacation, and something happens, and one of them,
I've seen that. That's like Steve Carell and all of them, right?
Yeah.
They're all billionaires.
They're all billionaires. They're all these tech bill, and they realize that they have the control. They're causing world instability because
calling them.
AI videos are going out where people are like burning a Quran that never happened, or doing something. All of a sudden instability happens throughout the world because these AI videos are going out, and the guy's like, yeah, I should just let it happen, and the other guy's like, I have AI that will stop it. And I was thinking that's what it's going to need. The person that builds the AI checker that can be your fact checker for is this real or not is going to be the next Steve Jobs. Because in normal people, I am having a hard time. I just saw a Google demo where they had this 4K resolution images of just people like walking on the beach doing stuff. I looked at the feet as it was walking through the waves, as the wave was going in. I couldn't tell it wasn't real. The water went around the feet were leaving the prints in the mud. The mud was this incredibly detailed little elements that usually you can pick up like that. It was doing really well.
Yeah.
And I deal every day. I'm generating imagery and videos every single day. That's, my day job. And when I saw that, it was a little scary because I'm like, I wouldn't know this wasn't real. I mean, so think if that's going to be public, like anybody can use that. Now I want to show that, the ICE agents are shooting people instead of putting them in detention. I could render that video. You would require, again, people care about Palantir as gatekeepers. They don't care about Google, which I think is very weird. Google's much bigger threat than Palantir probably ever will be. Google, we bring into our homes, we say yes to that little term sheet, and that term sheet says it knows everything about us. It knows your search history. It knows when you want to buy toilet paper and what porn you like. It knows everything. But we're fine with that. We're fine with Google and that private company with no oversight, knowing absolutely everything about us. If they don't put some kind of rails on this, and I hate rails, but if they don't put some kind of rails on this, it becomes a free fall where all of a sudden I have no idea what to believe.
Isn't the problem though? It's our hubris now though. We took Genie out of the bottle, and Genie doesn't want to go in the bottle. And no matter how we try, no matter how we push, Genie's not going back in that bottle. And guess what? Genie now has more power, and will have more power, and will unleash more genies that will not want to go back in the bottle. So the thought that we're going to somehow get a bigger bottle and get them all in there, I don't see that happening.
I don't, when we're talking about, Google already does thought police. Google already made sure that that was proven that when I search for Trump, it would be 98% bad stuff, and on like the 51st page, you'd hear a positive thing. If I searched for Hillary or Kamala, it's only positive stuff that come on top. We're already being manipulated by the Googles and the Facebooks and those algorithms, and we don't care. If Trump does, if Trump farts second, it's the end of the world. But if Google and them do stuff that's worse and have been doing it for years now, we just sit back and go, that's just part of life. I don't know what the answer is. The idea that there's a government agency, now I'm thinking back of it, that competes with the disinformation that we get from Apple and Google and all those big tech
but
bros.
now they can control them. And whoever is in power in the White House will have ultimate control. And it doesn't matter if it's right or left. And in reality, they're big enough to control even what goes on in the White, just like those guys where they can say, screw it. Let's watch stuff burn for a while, because our power is way more powerful than even the president in the reach. So, we can shut all this stuff down. We can amp it up. We can do whatever we need to do. And that's a scary thing. Plus, Google may have all your search engine, may have your history, may have your understanding, but they're not turning off your credit card
yet.
They're not going in.
Some people are.
What?
Some people were. Some people's bank accounts were shut down when they were saying the wrong things. Some people during
Canada, but now
COVID.
we can have that in a heartbeat here. They're not going to. Google's not going to stop me from getting an apartment, but this company can.
Well, here's the thing. Before Elon bought Twitter, they turned off the ability for a sitting president to talk to the people through its platform.
Yeah.
They shut down people. People then shut down people's bank accounts.
They still Elon still shadow bans me.
The point is, we are going through this right now. The fact that the government has its own type of institutionalized tracking system they want to put into place isn't like the first time we're going to encounter this. It's already happening. Could it happen on steroids? Potentially. We don't know what the access it has.
By the way, Palantir is going to be the biggest company in the world 24 months from now. They're going to be able to probably buy every company they want 24 months from now, because the power that they're going to have, that includes the fact that they're going to be able to decide who gets what contracts, who gets to do. I mean, they're going to be the ones to decide who gets to eat, essentially, if they want to. That's different than Google, right? And that's happening. That's the scary part about this. Hey, we were talking about AI. Did you see Timberland, the music artist, and he's the producer? He's got his first AI artist album coming out. It's called. Everything is, none of it's real. The AI is writing it. Tata is the artist's name. This is going to be A-pop, not K-pop or J-pop.
Yep.
It's A-pop. The song is going to be, everything is going to be done through AI and through was it Sonu? Which turns into the voices and the melodies and everything, and develop the look, the life, everything. So Tata is not an avatar. She's not a character. She's living, but she's learning autonomous music artists built through the AI.
Well, because right now the AI is doing really good at making music.
Yeah, it is.
Is it as good as a live musician? Maybe not quite, but does it make catchy little tunes, which is what people grow up on, and honestly, what makes a lot of money? I mean, look at the music we listen to isn't the lasting Mozart type music. You know what I mean? It's not, in 1,000 years, people are going to be listening to a Jay-Z track. It's that level though. It could produce a Jay-Z level song. It could produce a Justin Bieber level song. And so, there's the ability to do, for people to be like, I like this, like K-pop. I like these bands. I like this artist, even if the artist doesn't exist. And kids don't know it.
No, they don't care. When you grow up with a robot, you don't care.
You don't care at all. And think of this. I cannot talk to Justin Bieber. Nobody can, but that's, you can't just, I could to my favorite pop star if it was an AI pop star.
Yeah.
Oh, I really liked your album. Oh, thank you. Again, it could talk to millions of us simultaneously.
And it's going to happen. But I want to see something like that. Okay, you know what? Because you've had cartoons, you've had all of these things. Is it the real life? Because Tata's going to sing about love. Well, Tata's never been in love. Tata's not real. So what's that emotion like?
Yeah, exactly. It's simulated. But look at everybody is dating through apps and meeting people online, and we're losing our connection as humanity with other people.
Yeah, and we're more connected than ever. I can talk to anybody on the planet in 2 seconds, and at the same time, we're further apart than ever before.
And the fact that I'm chatting back and forth with friends, it's not that connection. It's not the same thing. So I now have an arm's length world of immediate connections. This is just an extension of that. I already barely see my friends because we're chatting and talking and texting and throwing memes together. Now I've got someone that acts just like a friend. It's an
Scary.
AI. It has the
Well, they're already using it in Japan and Korea for old
Yep.
people. So eventually they're going to destroy the old people.
they're gonna destroy and replace them with AI. Yeah.
Replace them with AI.
All that's left is gonna be like 20 because they don't have children anymore. There's gonna be 20 people left in Japan.
That's it. 20 people. AI is learn to use it, learn to build it, learn to do what you can around it to protect your businesses and work with it. But it's you can't stop it, right? Like this is one of those things where it's a freight train and you got to figure out, are you going to jump on it? But at the same time, your choice is you either get hit by the train or you jump on it, but there's also a good chance the train may crash.
It could be bad.
Yeah.
So, but yes, everybody needs to get into their AI, figure out how it works for you in your business and get ahead of everybody. Because while everybody's too busy cowering in the background, it's a competitive advantage.
It is. And the reason
cowering and you're using it
into it is because we know China is. I think if all of us given their druthers and we said, look, we're going to put this thing to the side, we're going to allow it to do some medical stuff and a few things like this. But no, we can't, because we know China's doing their thing. And then so-and-so's doing theirs. Everybody's doing it. So you have no choice, but you have to do it. So if we're going to do it, we better win.
And you can find out I just had to do a marketing plan based on an industry I had no idea about. So I'm like, could you research the industry, create a marketing plan for it, and let me know the best way to advertise on social? It did it all. It said, here's how much the industry is. Here's how much a year it makes. Here's a breakdown of it. Oh, if you're going to reach this demographic, here's the best way to do it based on all these other patterns. This is what breaks through and all this stuff.
Then how long did it take it?
5 minutes.
How long would it have taken you?
Days to get that kind of information. How big is the industry? It's like, okay, I don't know how big this industry is. I need to know what kind of revenue, how it breaks down, what's the demographics. It just does it almost immediately. You know what I mean? And is it perfect? We're right now going to run through the quality check to see, is it hallucinating? Is it lying to us in any way? But the thing is, if it's not perfect, it's close enough to not matter. Let's say the industry isn't quite as big as it is, and it's a little bit less or a little bit more.
It's a $20 billion industry, but really it's an $18 billion. That doesn't matter.
Exactly.
You still got the entire, it's like you got the house built, you got everything you wanted, but you don't like the color of paint, and you wish that they would have put, white cabinets in instead of old, kind of the gray looking cabinets. Okay. You still got that done.
100%. And it's not outright lying. It may not be accurate, but you know what? Humans aren't always accurate.
No, they're not.
I could pay a researcher, and a week later he gives me a report, and I realize, guess what? You were a little off on that.
Yeah.
So using the AI for that, using the AI to say, this is my business. How do I reach more customers? What's the best route I take to advertise? All this kind of stuff. It's good. It's not perfect, but it's good.
Yeah.
And if people start using that, have it rewrite your resume. Use AI now to do the little things that can help you get ahead while everybody else is struggling.
That's right. Let it teach you how to do your dishes.
Let it teach you how to do your
Maybe
dishes.
some poetry, because that's all that's going to be left. Mm-hmm.
Slam poetry. That's it.
All right, brother. Well, this has been fun as always. We're going to bounce. I got to get up in like 5 hours and do some more stuff because that's radio.
Yeah.
I will do this again tomorrow if you've got time as usual. And if you don't burn down tonight, God willing, you guys don't.
Yes, I'm gonna make sure I put a hose out to hose off all the protesters.
All the protesters that may not be. It's how many people you talk to? It's like, what's it like there? It's like, where?
Yeah,
it's in LA. What are you talking about?
You don't understand how big LA is. Yeah.
Like you mean the 2 blocks over there? Yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. I thought it was a party, so it is. I thought maybe a team had won a championship.
My perspective, for me to get there is about an hour.
Yeah,
because it's not distance. It's only 20 miles, but it's about an hour in. That's how long it takes to get to that part of LA.
Anywhere, like to go around the block at your house takes you an hour to get around the block.
It pretty much, yeah.
Just because the minute you get in a car, it's like, where'd this traffic come from? And this
so
is
if they hated me and they're coming after me, I got at least an hour to get away. I'm coming after you, Paul. All right, I'm going to take a drink and then I'll leave.
All right, guys, we're going to out of here. But like and subscribe. Appreciate when you do that. You